Hi, everybody. My name's Kelly Van Laanen, and I'm a tour leader with Green Adventures. And I'm the tour leader for the Iceland Fire Ice and Northern Lights 2026. And I have been for the past several years as well. I really enjoy being a tour leader. I've been in environmental education for 29 years. And those of you who are joining us who have learned about us from the Becoming an Outdoors Woman program, I've been a bow instructor since 1997 and been doing guiding and trip leading in environmental education for almost 30 years now. The thing that I like the most about being a trip leader is that I get to help people kind of come out of their comfort zone and make a lot of friends, lifelong friends. I think that's one of the things that's really surprising about people who come on our tours. I get to help people explore some fears and get move past some fears that they might have. And then I also really like to make all of our activities accessible to all makes and sizes of people. So those are a couple of things that I really enjoy about being a tour leader. And of course, meeting new people. I really enjoy that. So one of those people that I met on tour is going to be a guest speaker with us tonight. And she was on our Fire and Ice tour. Was it 2 years ago, Laura?
Yes,
2 years
yes.
ago. And so I'd like to introduce Laura Holmes. She's going to talk to you a little bit about her experience, and then we'll get into the formal presentation. What what would you like to say about the tour, Laura?
Well, I would like to say that I first got introduced to Green Adventures through the Bow program. That's where I met Kelly, and that's where I met Tara. And I was in fuego when I learned what Green Adventures did and the trips that they offered. And I was excited to go on my first trip. I've been on three so far. Um, One, I guess, unofficial with Kelly to Hawaii.
Mhm.
And I can just testify that Green Adventures does their trips well, very well, between the right from the get-go, the information that I needed to decide if I was going to be able to go, to having a webinar like this to meet the potential people that would be going on the trip. Um, the leaders that are with Green Adventures, they're passionate, they know their stuff, and just like Kelly said, they are wanting to bring you alongside them to bring you out of your comfort zone and give you experiences that you might not otherwise experience. Um, and then speaking to the local guides, they did their homework. They have picked local guides who who know their stuff. They know their country. They are able to give us history. They're very personable. They also come alongside of us and make sure that we, um, again, sometimes step out of our comfort zone and encourage us. History and knowledge and the professionalism and everything from the food to the travel to the excursions. Um, I truly cannot say enough um, as to how Green Adventures does this trip. Highly recommend. And I also highly recommend that you find a buddy to go on a trip with, to be able to share these trips and these experiences with a loved one or a friend is beyond. It just takes your experience to the next level. If you don't go with someone, you will meet new travel buddies. You'll meet lifelong friends. You'll meet people that are like-minded and like adventures. So either way, don't be afraid to step into any of these adventures, especially Iceland, because it was a good one. Um, and just go into that trip, knowing you're going to be well taken care of.
Hmm. Yeah. And I can attest to that. So I've been on Green Adventures tours as a participant. So you know, when someone who works for a company is also spends their money at that company, you know that it's a good company because every single one of us tour guides and tour leaders and Shauna have all spent our money with Green Adventures and gone on tours with the company. So we know, we can attest that it's good in both ways. Yeah, absolutely. And like Laura said, if you're not coming on this tour with someone, don't worry about it because some of my very, very best friends have been on these tours. I have met on these tours. In fact, my number one very best friend I met on a Green Adventure tour. Now we're two peas in a pod. So you get to do these really cool, like just life-changing experiences with them, and it causes just this really quick bonding within the group. But don't let that scare you if you're a little bit of an introvert. Don't let that scare you away if you're coming and traveling solo and you still like your alone time because I like my alone time somewhat too, and my social battery can burn out. There's time for that. There's time for you to take care of you, and then there's also time for you to bond as a group. So, for those of you who are new to the program, those would be some of my biggest pieces of advice to you. So with that, I have a PowerPoint presentation that so you don't have to just look at my face and my office, which is a super busy office with this wonky piece of plant that is distracting me and two egg incubators in the back. I'm going to start my PowerPoint and then I will open it up for questions at the back. And if you have questions while I'm doing this, feel free to go ahead and unmute yourself and ask me the questions. That won't throw me off my game. You can also use the chat feature on this. Sometimes when I'm looking at my PowerPoint and concentrating on that, uh, I don't see the chats, but that's what Shauna's here for when she's not chasing her cat off the desk. I love that about Zoom sessions. Uh, Shauna will keep an eye on that and let me know when there's a question. So let me share my screen. Um, what's happening? Here it is. Shauna, why can't I play this? I can play it. Okay, don't worry. Don't worry, folks. I got this. Okay, so this is a welcome from both me, and then here in the yellow is your guide, Inga. She is a phenomenal spitfire of a woman who will just embrace you and encompass you, and she's so fun to learn from. She's got so much really cool knowledge about Iceland. She is true Icelandic, has lived there her entire life. And she has really cool things about, there's a lot of folklore in Iceland, and she has some really cool things about folklore. She is also an author and has written a book on wild edible plants in Iceland, which is part of one of the things that I really bonded with her about because I teach wild edible plants here in Wisconsin. And for the Becoming an Outdoors Woman program, amongst a whole bunch of other things. And I think that you'll really, really enjoy her. She is also the guide on most of our other Green Adventures Iceland tours because we love her so much. So, our tour dates this year are November 1st through the 6th for 2026. So, today our webinar goals are going to be what exactly is a green adventure? What can I expect on a Green Adventures tour? And then we're going to take a virtual fire and ice tour. And we're going to end with some questions. So our mission at Green Adventures is to help people fall in love with wild places through extraordinary eco adventures and to protect people, places, and the ecosystems through ecotourism. So where do we take you? If you look at this map, which is a world map, do you see all of the little red dots on here? We go to all of these places. So we literally go across the world. But on this tour, we are going to Iceland. You can see it right there in the red circle. So how do we do it? Well, it starts with a dream and a love for adventure. It's built on long-standing relationships with local partners, and I want to speak to this a little bit. Tara Short, CEO of Green Adventures and founder of the company, has done a phenomenal job vetting local partners. So she has been to these facilities. She has interviewed more guides than I care to even think about and found the best gems of places to go to. And those are all things when you're booking travel on your own that you don't really get to do. So you know when you come on a Green Adventures tour that you're going to some of the very best places through some of the very best guides and best accommodations. And you don't have to worry about any of that. It's our tours are designed for active, eco-conscious explorers, and we're beginner friendly with expert support. So our tours, we have both very beginners on our tours, but we also have people who are considered advanced people within our tours. And we're able to accommodate all of those people. And I'll talk about that a little bit later when we talk about the ice climbing. We're the adventures are in the wild, off the beaten places, and every trip supports local conservation efforts. So why do we do what we do? Well, we're passionate educators and explorers. We love protecting wild places through biodiversity and adventure. We're inspired by your curiosity, your courage, and your love for discovery. We believe in shared experiences in nature to create connections, memories, and a drive to protect our planet. And this is another thing that I'll expand on. There is no way, no better way than to get people wanting to preserve these places and all of these special, amazing plants and animals and destinations than to get them there and see how very special it is. For example, I just had a tour in Roatan, Honduras, and the people on my tour were so very moved by our coral restoration efforts there that they all pooled together and purchased a coral restoration tree. So seeing all of those efforts and seeing how important it is for us to preserve the ocean environment and restore coral uh, just made them, inspired them enough to do that. And that says a lot. That's really important about the way that we do our tours. And we also love to meet you and we love to make lifelong friends and have some fun. As you can see on the bottom picture with Inga and I here being two absolute goofballs. So our promise. Those of you who are traveling solo, you travel solo, but never alone. We guide you every step of the way with excellent pre-tour documents, a group Zoom meeting, and group texts. So even if you are going on this tour where you don't know anybody, by the time you get to the tour, you feel like you know all of your adventure buddies who are going with you because you've had this opportunity to interact with them ahead of time. We don't just kind of throw you into the fire. We connect you with adventure buddies and trip leaders. So again, you feel like you know them before you arrive. And we're here to support you 24/7 during the tour. If you get sick, we're there for you. If you have plane delays, we're there for you. We have a big team of people that will help you through all of the different problems that you could encounter on any sort of things with our tours. And you're supported literally from booking to farewell and beyond. So about me, about your trip leader. I have 29 years of experience in environmental education, guiding, and trip leading. I've been a bow instructor since 1997, and I'm a graduate of the College of Natural Resources at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point, where I learned all about natural resources and the outdoor environment. I'm also a dive master, a kayak instructor, a foraging instructor, a homesteader, a chicken raiser, a chainsaw instructor, and all of these other awesome, wonderful experiential things that I love to share and do. I lead trips to Costa Rica, Baja, Honduras, Iceland, Trinidad, Tanzania, and Uganda, and other destinations. So, we are partnering with the Becoming an Outdoors Woman program out of UW Stevens Point. So I'm sure some of you on this are coming with a knowledge, coming because you heard about it through the Becoming an Outdoors Woman program, and some of you are coming because you heard about it through Green Adventures. These two programs just go hand in hand. We offer several destination options for women in partnership with the Becoming an Outdoors Woman program every year. And Green Adventures and Bow are similar to each other in that we both offer safe, comfortable, supportive, hands-on programs. So many of our Green Adventures tours are made for women travelers in the way that Bow programming is made for women wanting to learn different skills. So where are we going on this tour? Oh, there we go. Sorry, I have to keep moving everybody's heads around so I can see my own screen. We're going to Iceland. It's a Nordic island country between the North Atlantic and Arctic Oceans. It's located on the mid-Atlantic ridge between North America and Europe. The continent you're going to is Europe. The surface area is 103,000 kilometers squared. The capital is Reykjavik. The language is Icelandic, and the currency is the Icelandic krona. So when are we going? Again, it's November 1st through 6th, 2026. So what are we doing? Well, buckle up for your virtual tour of our Green Adventures Iceland Fire, Ice, and Northern Lights itinerary. And perhaps you'll also learn some Icelandic pronunciations along the way. That person driving that buggy is the founder of the program, Tara, and I was the passenger. And it was, let's just say, a very notable ride. So we're exploring Iceland's spectacular south coast in the winter. When the landscapes glow with low Arctic light, crowds thin out, and the nights offer a chance to witness the northern lights dancing across the sky. The days are filled with unforgettable experiences. The evenings are cozy, social, and deeply restorative. So itinerary on day one, You arrive at the airport, KEF, for those of you who are looking for the acronym, and we send all of this to you. Once you arrive, it's really super easy. You're going to take an easy and convenient fly bus from the airport to your accommodations in Reykjavik. And we walk you through all of that. Everybody who comes into Reykjavik usually takes the fly bus. Easy peasy to do. Whoa, I gotta move your heads. So then you're going to leave your luggage at the hotel and explore Reykjavik. And during your free time in the city, you can walk off your jet lag, visit museums, or just eat breakfast and lunch at a cafe. There's all kinds of fun things to see and do. And then around 3 o'clock, you go back and you get to check into the hotel. Because remember, you're arriving in really early morning. Usually our flights are there like 5 a.m. And we get into Reykjavik around 6 to 7 o'clock in the morning. So the hotels, just like the hotels here in the US, are not ready for you. So we get to check in usually around 3 o'clock. Sometimes you can keep an eye on it and it can be earlier than that. Around 5 o'clock, we have a group dinner, a group meeting, and then around 6 o'clock, we go to dinner in town for an authentic Icelandic dinner. So for our itinerary on day 2, we go to here's where you're going to start to learn your Icelandic. Do you see all the way at the bottom of my text box? That's the pronunciation for where we're going. So it's called Thingvellir National Park, where we walk through the dramatic fissures of the mid-Atlantic ridge, where the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates meet. So you're going to discover the history of a UNESCO World Heritage Site where Iceland's parliament was founded over 1,000 years ago. And you can kind of see two of our travelers here stretching out their arms between those two tectonic plates. Then, excuse me, again, look at the very bottom of this text box. There's the pronunciation for the Icelandic, so you can start learning right away. So Frithhamar, Frithhamar. Next up is the Frithhamar greenhouse. A short drive brings us to this unique geothermal powered greenhouse where we enjoy a lunch of fresh homemade tomato soup with warm bread surrounded by rows of thriving tomato plants and a taste of Iceland's sustainable culture. Some of the cool things about this is that these tomato plants, I have never seen a tomato plant grow so long. They grow their own specific variety of small, it's almost like a cherry tomato, but they are huge, long, and they're grown from it's like hydroponic, and they grow. This is them growing upwards towards the top of that greenhouse. And we get a tour of the greenhouse where they talk about how they grow them and what they do there. And if you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, you have a greenhouse, you need to have pollinators even in the winter. So in the winter, there aren't going to be many pollinators in Iceland, so they have their own bee colonies there. And then there's the famous tomato soup and fresh bread for lunch. And it is spectacular. Like nothing you've ever tasted before. The most fresh, wonderful soup. It's just absolutely amazing. If you are a tomato soup hater, don't worry. There are other things that you can order off of the menu. And then in addition, there are other tomato related things that you can order as well. One of the things that ladies like to order at the end of our meals at times are tomato desserts, which sounds like it would be a little weird, but there's a tomato sorbet and some like tomato. Uh, Laura, didn't you have a couple of the different tomato desserts there? What else was there?
I don't remember. I just remember the bread in the soup was amazing.
Yeah, yeah, a bunch of different types of bread, and it's fresh, hot from the oven. Delish. Okay, then we go to Gullfoss. waterfall, where we marvel at the raw power of this iconic golden waterfall. It's created by the Hatha River, which is in the Langkokjokul Glacier. And I think I've got a video of it here. But what's neat about this waterfall is that it has two huge tiers, distinct tiers that drop and then plunge into the canyon. Then we go to Stroker. They say Geyser, which Inga is going to kind of get on you. She's not going to say it's a geyser. She's going to say, you don't say geyser, you say Geyser. That's exactly how she'll say it. So when we visit the geyser, we watch as the famous geyser erupts about every 10 to 15 minutes, shooting steaming water up about 120 feet into the air. The pools surrounding the geyser are otherworldly. Oh, my video on the geyser did not go off. Let's see if I can get it to go. There it went. Woohoo! And then to top off the day, we go to the Secret Lagoon, which is a geothermal pool. It takes relaxation to the next level. We sink neck deep into the steaming geothermal waters, float on pool noodles if you want, and enjoy the magic of soaking in bubbling hot springs of the Secret Lagoon. There are beverages for purchase here. There's a little boardwalk that goes around. It's just an absolutely amazing way to just relax and unwind. And then in the evening, we watch for the northern lights. So, itinerary for day 3. Our first stop, oh, bummer, is Seljalandsfoss waterfall. And we begin the day with a visit to the stunning waterfall where you can actually walk behind it to see the breathtaking 360-degree views. So you see where our first picture, she's standing in front of it. The second picture, she's actually walking a trail where you walk in behind it. And then after you've walked behind a waterfall, you've got to learn how to do the Stellenjanfoss shake, which is that. All right. Then, not enough waterfalls in Iceland. Just kidding. There are a bazillion waterfalls in Iceland, and everyone is just as spectacular as the next. We go to Skogfoss. It's a short drive, which brings us to the second waterfall, and it's mighty. It's a massive waterfall known for its misty rainbows. And if the conditions are right, you'll see a vibrant rainbow forming at the base, which is perfect for photos. And you can see our group standing in front of it here. Some people, I know Laura, got all the way to the very, very base of this. She was all the way up to the rocks and just I remember watching her as the water was just thundering down. And yeah, she was just she had her rain gear like cinched up around like this. And she came back, just her rain gear was just dripping wet, but she was like, that was incredible. Then I'm gonna move your little heads again here. So if you can look all the way to the right in my text box, you can say Sol he me yukul. Sol he me yukul. So that's the Solheimeyukul Glacier. So it's known as the Sunhome Glacier. And with ropes, harnesses, and ice axes in our hand, our expert glacier guide will teach us about this dynamic, ever-changing ice formation. And then participants will have the chance to try ice climbing. Now, remember when I talked about this being a tour for everyone. If you are mobility limited and you only get 1 foot off the ground, that is a success in itself. We're not expecting you, and don't think that you can't come on this tour because it looks like it's the sheer ice face. If you are more advanced and you want to go further up on the ice, that's great. But it doesn't matter whether you get 1 foot or 25 or 40 feet off the ground. The group cheers for you all the same. Just getting there is a celebration. So then we go to Rhinosfara. So some of you might have heard this year that this beach, they had some huge storm come in and it washed out some of the beach, which is true. You can still visit, but there's a parking lot that you visit from, which is up above. Do you see where all of this black sand is on the basalt columns to the right? We used to be able to walk out to those basalt columns. And the powers of nature have washed most of that away. It does not take away from the beauty of this place, believe me. And eventually, the powers of nature will drop a bunch of sand back in that play in it. It's a cyclical event that keeps happening year after year. But you will get to see black sand and you'll get to see these basalt columns, and then you'll get to see all of those basalt columns that are out in that beautiful sunset photo. They're very, very beautiful. And then the star of the show. We'll get to spend the evening at our country hotel, keeping an eye on the skies for a chance to spot the magical northern lights. So on day 4, we go on a fun 4-wheel drive journey to one of Vetnjokel's glaciers uh, and to an ice cave. But first, you start in these big 4-wheel drive vans and you drive out onto the glacier. And then you walk across this kind of ice valley with your crampons and your ice axe. Um, and you get to the base of the ice cave. And it looks, if you think about it, Iceland was built in from all volcanic ash. So when you look at this, you're going to see a lot of the pictures, especially of the glaciers. They look different than the glaciers that you would see in, say, Switzerland. You're going to see a lot of black volcanic ash. And that's because it was formed in volcano area. But then you can climb down into these areas where there's these ice caves and the water has washed away some of that volcanic ash, and you get to see the sun shining through the ice, and it creates some of the prettiest blue colors I have ever seen in my whole life. Sometimes there's little waterfalls within there. Um, there's deep blues, aqua blues. You'll see the dark striations of the ash in there. They're very beautiful, and it's a breathtaking relic of the last ice age. Then we get to go to Vatnjokel Lagoon and Diamond Beach. So we walk along this trail that goes around, and we get to see all kinds of different small plants, because remember, this is a harsh climate, so it would be similar to our alpine environments where the plants are very, very small. If there's snow, you can see these beautiful plants and lichens and mosses. And then you get to walk out onto what's called Diamond Beach, and there are chunks of the glacier that have fallen into the lagoon, floated along the river, and then they wash up on the shore of this beach. And some of them are giant, giant, bright blue ice crystals, and then some of them are small little ice crystals. Some days there'll be hundreds and thousands, and some days not as much. But everybody is like, check out all these diamonds, especially when they get the sun shines through them just right and they just shimmer and shine. It's really, really neat. It's also really neat to watch them them break off of the icebergs and then float down that river and toss and turn and break into pieces, and then they can kind of wash ashore onto two different beaches. Sometimes on our hikes, pretty much every time, you get to come upon some wildlife. There's lots of different seabirds, and then there are times when you'll get to see um, seals. And in this clip, you're going to hear Tara. She was on this tour. She's going to talk a little bit about the difference between the seals and sea lions. Sea lions we see on our tour to Baja. So you get to play with the sea lions on our Baja tour, and you get to see the seals on the Iceland tour. She's going to talk to you a little bit about the difference of that. And then you're going to see the person who took this video pan away. So you'll get to see a little bit about what I was talking about the plants and the trail. Like a sea lion has external ears. She don't know. Lions. Yeah. Sea lions walk around home, where seals will like undulate up your belt. Can't walk on. It's low windy. It's hard to hear. I'm going to repeat what she says. See how she's panning away to all of those icebergs? And then you can see the trail. So what she's saying is that seals don't have little mini ears, these little ears. Sea lions have little mini ears that you can see. And that seals, which you're seeing here, they don't walk along on their flippers, whereas sea lions will walk along on their flippers. So those are two major ways that you can tell the difference between the two species. And you can see these seals up and down this coastwater trail, chasing after fish, floating along. Sometimes they're floating and breaking things open and eating fish. And it's pretty neat to see. They have all kinds of different markings, and you can tell that it's almost like their fingerprint. What you would have different on your fingerprint, they have different on their markings. So they have like freckles and different fur colors. As the day winds down, we return to our cozy hotel, and if the skies are clear, we continue our quest to witness the northern lights. And just when the day seems like it couldn't possibly get any better, Lady Aurora puts on a show. And you get to play with your new friends under the northern lights. The neat thing about our hotels are if you want to go to sleep, because it's been a long day, you can go ahead and go to sleep. You don't have to stay up all night long. And you can put a call in to the front desk or ask the front desk, and they will call your room if the lights are out. So they monitor the lights for us all night long. And we make a little meeting place. And we say, if the lights are going to come out, we're going to meet right here, and everybody can come out, and I can give you some advice on how to take pictures of the northern lights. I also send you information ahead of time on taking pictures of the northern lights, and you get to watch. Sometimes they dance, sometimes they sparkle, sometimes they move across the sky, and on rare occasions you can actually even hear them. It is spectacular. On day 5, we go on our off-road adventures in these buggies. And it's pretty fun. We splash through rivers, we speed across black sand beaches, and we uncover hidden gems, including a remote plane wreck and a breathtaking hidden canyon. It's different. It's interesting, the difference between the coastline, which is all of this black sand, and then we go into this a hidden canyon that has green mosses and trees within it, and you're kind of riding through a river. So you get to see two pretty remarkably different landscapes. And it's a fast-paced adventure. You get to eat, you ride in partners, one person, and it depends on how you want to do it, but you both get an opportunity to drive if you want to do it that way. But we prepare you ahead of time and we give you those spectacular orange jumpsuits, which don't mean that you're in jail. They mean you're going on a buggy ride. And you can get muddy and wet and laugh until your belly hurts. And so some people have said, this is so much fun. And okay, that was flipping amazing. And here's a little bit of a clip about that. Ready. That water is ice cold and it shocks you, but it's so fun. And then you're looking at all these beautiful landscapes as you go. It's just an incredibly fun experience. So later in the afternoon, we unwind in the Icelandic way with a relaxing visit to a local outdoor pool. And the reason that you don't see any pictures of that local outdoor pool is because it is similar to what you would call like a community swimming pool here, what you would see with laps, different hot pool areas, but cameras aren't allowed there. So because people go and bathe in these, they go in these every day. In Iceland, the days or the nights are very long, and this is a very social area that they just don't want cameras in. They want to be able to enjoy their time with family, with friends, in cold plunges and hot areas and steam pools or in steam areas. So you're not going to see any pictures of that. Um, and we laugh, we share. Then after that, or at those, we laugh, we share stories, and we reflect on the past few days as we soak in the warm waters, surrounded by fresh, crisp air, always outdoors in these very, very warm, different temperatures. And sometimes it's cold enough that you get snowflakes or snow is falling on your hair, or you get ice crystals in your hair, but you're never cold because you've got all that warm water. Then we head back to Reykjavik for a celebratory farewell dinner where we enjoy delicious Icelandic cuisine and reminisce about the incredible moments that we've shared together. On the sixth day, on our final morning, we go to enjoy a rejuvenating visit to the Sky Lagoon. And this is actually just an incredible way to wrap up our experience in Iceland. It's just this gorgeous lagoon that has hot waterfalls coming in and trails through these geothermal pool areas. There's a swim up bar where you can get specialty juices or alcoholic beverages. There's an infinity pool like you can see here. And then we also do the 7-step ritual. And you can see on the picture on the right, that's the entrance to the 7-step ritual. And parts of that are if you want to a cold plunge, Inga is a master at talking you into and through doing a cold plunge. If you've never done that, I highly recommend. This is one of those places where, um, getting out of your comfort zone can be pretty cool because it's only temporary. That coldness is only temporary, although you're forcing your body to do it. It can really help with inflammation and overall wellness. You have a steam room. There's a salt scrub. There's a sauna. There's all kinds of different areas within this to do this really magical 7-step ritual. And it's a pretty amazing way to end our time together and relax before we bring you to the airport and send you off on your journey home. So we hope that by the end of the tour, you're feeling refreshed and revitalized, mind, body, and spirit. And this Sky Lagoon is just the way to do it. Afterward, we bring you off to the airport, and usually our flights are anywhere, we have you book them for any time after 1:30, but usually they get you on your way 3:30, 4:30, 5 o'clock at the latest for your departures back to the USA. And I am going to put in a little thing here that hot dogs are a big thing in Iceland. It's not like US hot dogs. They're made out of lamb. They are the best hot dogs in the world, and the airport has some of the very best hot dogs. And if you're sitting there thinking, Kelly, have gone bonkers trying to sell me on a hot dog as Icelandic cuisine, I am going to challenge you to try it because I've never had someone try them yet where they weren't like, this is phenomenal. It's incredible. They've got crunchy onions on them and like a hollandaise sauce and not a hollandaise sauce, two different sauces, a different Icelandic ketchup. They're absolutely cool and incredible, and the airport is a really good place to get them. So I'm going to say that Iceland has some of the best airport food in the world. What's included in this tour? So your tour leader, your Icelandic driver and guide, most of your meals, your return airport drop off, all of your lodging, group transport, and all of the described activities. And then what's the cost? We have a couple available packages. A double room package is 5,224, and a single room upgrade is 6,525. So now's the time that I'm going to open it up for any questions that you might have. There's no question that is a stupid question. Please ask away because you're never going to know unless you ask. I see one that's in the group chat and it says, at the meals, are we able to order anything off of the menu or are meals already pre-selected? So to address that, sometimes meals are pre-selected, but for the most part, we're ordering off of a menu. There's a couple times like when we go to there's a couple places where we go where we have stews during the day, but stews and soups during the day, but there's always a vegetarian or vegan option and then a meat option. And then plus, are we able to have a glass of wine or beer with our meal as part of the included price? No, alcoholic beverages and most of your like soda drinks are not included in the price. One new question here too. Oh, great question, Kelly. And excellent name. Is this a women's only trip or are spouses allowed? The one that I'm describing here is a women's only trip. However, Green Adventures does put together trips that are co-ed, so keep your eye out for a co-ed. Or if you wanted to, where if you thought that you could get a small group of people together, say it, and we just had people do a pickleball group come to one of our Africa tours. If you can get a small group of people together, we can make a custom trip for you, and then you're more available on different dates. Good question. Any other questions? Oh, I see Karen got unmuted herself. Are you going to ask a question?
Well, it was because I typed it, but it looks like it's just going to you.
Oh,
So
okay.
I sometimes have trouble in the dark days of the year, and I'm just curious, do you know how much daylight there'll be in early November?
So, where are you from, Karen?
Well, I spent a lot of time in Duluth, Minnesota, so that's my frame of reference, but I'm in
Okay.
Washington now.
Okay. So, I would say that it's similar to like November in Minnesota. I would say, I'm from Wisconsin, so I'm right next door in Minnesota. But they have a lot of like bright lighting. They have to, uh, kind of manage that for the people there because of the long dark nights and long winter that they have. But because we're there in November, there's a little bit more light. It's not like 24 hours of daylight, or we wouldn't be, or so I'm sorry, 24 hours of darkness like we have, near in some of our very, very north regions. Um, so I would say, it gets dark probably 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. And I would say it's the sun starts coming up maybe 6 o'clock in the morning, but it's really up at 7:30, 8 o'clock. But they also have some really cool areas with like lighted greenhouses with lots of plants in them, and lots of lighting in hotels so that you don't feel dark and gloomy all the time.
Um, One other question, if it's appropriate, would be, I'm curious a little bit more to know how this compares to the other trip that you have listed for Iceland for spring or summer. I forget just when it was. And I had some specific question for that I don't remember right now. But
Sure.
but I'm just curious, like for going to Iceland, like what the other option is. Oh, it's that appears to me like I went there once, but we didn't get a chance to go in the caves. So I think the caves are only something you would get in the cold season, right?
No, you can do the caves year round. But what this time of year, why this time of year is what in my opinion a nice time of year to visit is because there's less crowds. Iceland is a very popular place to visit right now. So a lot of the main tourism has broken off, and so you have less crowds at some of these really spectacular sites. The other thing you get is because there are a little bit longer nights, you have more options for seeing the northern lights. Whereas in the summer, your option for seeing the northern lights are very much condensed because you are so high up in the world that you have long days in the summer months. So the other thing is that your glaciers and your icebergs and the ice caves are going to appear a little bit more blue in the November winter months than they do in the summertime.
Hmm. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. As far as some of our other tours, we have lots of tours that go to Iceland. Some of them focus on knitting. Some of them are multi-sport tours where you do kayaking and horseback riding. I don't know how many tours Tara has for Iceland right now, but they're all a little bit different.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. I highly recommend that. Don't feel like you can reach out to me. Do feel like you can reach out to me. You can call me and you can just email me if you have any questions. I'm super available to answer anything, even if it's something that you felt was like too personal to ask here in this group format. I like to answer questions about the tours. And then also keep an eye out for any of our other tours that we have coming up. We're coming out with our 2027 schedule, and we've got all kinds of really cool, exciting places that we're going to.
Oh, I have one last question.
Sure.
It's probably just an internet search issue, but
Mhm.
any suggestions on airlines going to Iceland?
So it's all going to be Icelandic Air. You're going to get to a main hub. So usually people fly out of Chicago, Minnesota, Detroit, Fort Wayne. You're going to get to one of those main hub areas, and then you're going to fly Icelandic Air over.
Okay.
It's it's a phenomenal, it's a really cool airline. I like it. The seats are nicer. They kind of give you a little bit, if they can juggle you around so that you have sleeping room, they'll do that. They have some nice little meals available. I like it.
Okay. Thank you.
Hmm
All right, everybody, thanks so much for joining us. We'll end it here.
I really appreciate everybody being here. Thanks so much. Goodbye. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.